Turn with me to First Chronicles 17, verses 12 to 14. This is known as Davidic covenant. The passage for Davidic covenant, and we are going to study today about the promise of Christmas. I was wondering when I was reading this text recently. I'm actually reading through the book of Chronicles, and I just bumped into this chapter, and then all this time I was thinking, thinking about Isaiah chapter 7:14, always as the prophecy of Christ's birth, 700 years before Christ was born. But then when I read this, it came out really fresh for me. Even before Isaiah prophesied about the coming of Jesus, it was already prophesied even earlier about his coming. And so let's see the promise of Christmas this evening. The promise of Christmas. Have you ever received any promise in your life by anybody? Did somebody promise you something and you are waiting for it, and then finally you get it? How does that feel? My son Benjamin, when he was studying, getting closer to his 10th standard, and one of his grandfather, my wife's uncle, promised him, if you score 90 plus in your board exam, then I'm going to give to you a mobile. In those days, mobile was a big thing. And so he promised him, if you do well, I'm going to give to you. And so I think that was a kind of motivation for him, little bit of a motivation for him. And then when he finished his board exam, he scored 90 plus, fortunately. And he reminded him, you told me that you promised me you would give me this. When are you going to give? And he could not back out from his promise, right? He said, yes, I'm going to keep my promise. Then we went to the store and grabbed a phone for him. And so promise always brings what? Motivation, right? It creates energy. It creates push. It makes you push, makes you work harder. And then it makes you expect something. And that is what this passage is, the promise of Christmas. In chapter 17, I want to just help us understand here. In chapter 17, David, the king, he's a king. He's sitting in his house. Okay, let's make it a little bit of dramatic. Like he is living in a lavish house. Remember, he's a king, right? He's in a palace. All the victory, he defeated Philistine and many other nations, and now everybody is, they know about David as one of the greatest fighters, greatest king, right? And then there was Ark of the Covenant somewhere else, and then it pained his heart. We have everything, but we don't have God's presence with us. His ark is not with us. It is somewhere else. Then he gets the Ark of the Covenant back, and then he dances. They all enjoy, right? Including David, the king. And then he comes back. Oh, I have achieved so much. Now I have a nice palace made of cedar wood. Now I have defeated so many nations. What is next for me? Then he decides, and he tells the prophet Nathan, I'm already a successful king. God has helped me taste victory after victory. The Ark of the Covenant is back. Um, Now, what I want to do is that I want to build a house for God. I'm living in a palace. What about my God? I want to build a house for him. That was his desire. So he asked Nathan and then Nathan goes to God, and God says, "No, no, no. I'm not. You're not going to build a house for me. You're not going to build a temple for me. Instead, your son is going to build a house for me." And then God promises that the promise of Christmas, that's what we are going to look at. So in verse number um, 12 to 14, God says, David, you are not going to build a temple for me because you have been in the war, your hands are filled with blood, right? You have been to wars, you have killed so many people. So I don't want you to build, but your son will build. He says, he shall build a house for me. This is the promise God is giving to David. When David expressed his desire to build a temple for God, he says, no, 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 no. It's a good idea, but I'm not going to allow you to build. I will make your son to build a house for me. You want to build a temple for me, but I want to build a house for you. Right? And he says, I will establish his throne forever. God is promising David. I will be to him a father, he shall be to me a son. I will not take my steadfast love from him, as I took it from him who was before you. But I will confirm him in my house and in my kingdom forever. His throne shall be established forever. So this is the promise of God to David. So this is a covenant God is making with David the king. So this is called Davidic covenant. So in this covenant,